And hello, welcome to Open, the show that opens the Bronx and the rest of the world right to you. I am Daren, Jaime, and today we'll update you on what's happening in and around our borough in New York City. Coming up, we'll discuss how One Bronx Recreation Center is opening doors for local youth, connecting families to free summer camps, health services, and life-changing opportunities. After that, we'll discuss a grassroots effort that's helping survivors reclaim their voices as well as rebuild their lives while working towards a future free from violence. And then we'll sit with a cybersecurity expert who works at the front lines, dealing with identity threat protection, helping organizations rethink what risk looks like and how to shut the door on threats that are hiding in plain sight. And lastly, we'll talk about a new cafe that's making waves in the South Bronx and how it blends purpose with flavor. So stay tuned, because all this and much more is heading your way, because right now we're officially open. And hello, everyone. I am Daren Jaime. You are now watching Open, a live program that's bringing the Bronx and New York City straight to you. We also welcome our viewers to the Manhattan Neighborhood Network, as Open is being broadcast simultaneously on MNN's channels. You can stay connected to us on all of our social media platforms at BronxNet TV. Some things have been going on throughout the past week. We'll take you through it with some Bronx updates. Well, we start off with local news. A community outreach organization held a rally raising awareness about the rates of youth violence among some Bronx residents. Our BronxNet reporter Chris Camilla has a story.
Earlier this year, New York City Mayor Eric Adams boasted about a lower crime count in the city of New York as a whole. However, one community group in the Bronx is making a note about how stagnant the gun violence issues are here among the youth.
Just keep talking up to your children. Let them know they do not have to pick up a gun to solve a problem. It just causes a bigger problem.
With a name like No Voice Unheard, there's no doubt this local community organization always makes their message loud and clear.
We're showing support for the youth that was taken in violence. We're doing a mural with all the pictures of every child and every innocent person that was taken.
Volunteers gather at the Grand Concourse's Big Pun Plaza, adorning shirts and signs in support of raising awareness about the deadly rate of youth violence in the Bronx. Founder of No Voice Unheard, Melanie Jimenez, tells BronxNet the murder of a young man killed in a case of mistaken identity led her to launch her mission in 2020 to get guns off the streets and foster anti-gang awareness through direct community outreach. As their mission continues, so does the crime they say they witness, committed by children and adolescents.
The crime rate in the Bronx is getting worse. The trigger pullers seem to be 13, 14, and 15 years old. The age is becoming much younger than what it was.
While New York City's overall crime rate has dropped significantly in 2025 compared to the previous year, community members at the rally note that youth violence remains stagnant. Data from the New York Police Department marks over 3 dozen shooting victims this year under age 21 and over 5 dozen minors arrested on gun-related charges. Despite over 34,000 active officers in the Bronx, organizers say a stronger security presence is only part of the solution.
They need to keep more police on the street, more people trying to help the kids as well. If you see a child in danger, try to help the child out. There's innocent people out here getting hurt.
And beyond activism on the streets, No Voice Unheard is engaging with local leaders, all the way to the Bronx Borough President, Vanessa Gibson, pushing for legislation that provides the most at-risk demographics with better access to resources and information to steer clear of potentially dangerous outlets. Lowering the statistics and breaking the cycle of youth violence, one conversation at a time.
They need to be heard, understood, and given an opportunity outside of what they think is the norm.
The same way you tell your children I love you, you also need to tell them to stay away from gun and street violence, to stay away from bad influence.
On the Grand Concourse, Chris Cumella, BronxNet Community Television.
And thank you, Chris. That is all the time we have for our Bronx updates. We are taking a quick break, but guess what? We'll have more open when we return.
We're gonna start the show right now. This is my favorite part. Ready in 5, 4, 3, 2. Hey, this is Angel, and I am one of the instructors for the in-studio production. Here at BronxNet, we offer classes that can help you elevate, expand, and start your television career. All you have to do is sign up at bronxnet.org/education. For the past 7 years, I have been in various productions, spanning from talk shows, independent films, news reports, art displays, teachings, musical performances, and many more. Ain't that right, Angel? Yeah, you're absolutely right, Angel. There are a lot of creative individuals that we're just waiting to sign up for the class. And if I may, can I also express that? Thank you, Angel. That's all the time we have left. Visit bronxnet.org/education and become a producer by taking the course. The class I offer is also in English, en español y también bilingüe. Nos vemos en la próxima clase.
19.7% of Bronxites currently experience food insecurity. Meanwhile, instead of these nice, colorful foods, this is the best food that they have access to. If this sounds like you, there are a bunch of resources to get healthy food for free or cheap. If you want to help, you might consider donating or volunteering in one of these places. Community fridges like this one are all over the city and allow New Yorkers to conveniently donate extra food to people who might need it. Go to this link and find your nearest one. Food banks and pop-up events like these provide millions of healthy meals to families in need. These organizations are distributing meals to Bronxites as we speak and are always accepting donations and volunteers.
And welcome back. Each summer, thousands of New York City children discover the joys of nature, confidence building, and new possibilities, thanks in part to a not-for-profit that's changing lives since 1877. At its 2025 spring benefit, the legacy of impact was celebrated, specially highlighting the power of partnership and creating brighter futures for Bronx youth. And joining me now to share more is the CEO of the Fresh Air Fund, Lisa Gitelson, and also the program director of the Reverend Dr. Wendell T. Foster Recreation Center at Scan Harbor. We've got Lisa Jackson, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
An opportunity to talk about a great organization that's doing some really good work here, the Fresh Air Fund, and for yourselves. This year, very special.
It is very special, and we were grateful that we're always grateful for partnerships with any of our community partners, but especially for that with SCAN.
Yeah. And so talk about the partnership a little bit.
So the partnership with Fresh Air Fund actually started probably well over 15 years ago, but I was introduced to it about 15 years ago when I first became a program director at Scan Harbor. And it started with Anthony, one of the Fresh Air Fund outreach workers, who came in and did a presentation on the Fresh Air Fund and what they had to offer for our inner city youth. And I fell in love with the idea of the Fresh Air Fund and the concept of the Fresh Air Fund. And ever since then, it's been history. We've been a working partnership for years now, and it's been just growing.
Yeah. And so I want to talk a little bit about this here because the partnership definitely came about. And as we talk about the Bronx specifically, it's a priority in some ways, right? So as you talk about that priority, talk about what that priority is and what it means to you.
So we have 6 summer sleepaway camps. One of them is specifically dedicated to kids from the Bronx, and that's Camp Junior. Camp Junior came about because of the tragic death of a young teen, Junior, who was killed in the midst of gang violence in the Bronx. His mother advocated for a camp and a space for kids of the Bronx. She worked hard with local, city, and state legislatures, and now we have this camp that specifically serves youth from the Bronx. And partnerships with a place like Scan Harbor help us find the trust in the community so that the kids of the community will come to our camps. And so we're deeply grateful for that.
So working with Fresh Air Fund programs, obviously it's been a rich experience for you.
Yes.
What stands out in your mind about some of the experiences that really connect kids and also the program?
It's just giving them the opportunity to leave the city, unplug from the city life, and go experience new adventures up at the Fresh Air Fund camps. Most of the time the kids come back from experience very happy, refreshed. Parents are happy and refreshed that their kids are out of the city and just experiencing new things, new journeys.
I would love to hear from you both. What does exposure actually mean? You know, we hear about, you know, inner city youth having the opportunity to be exposed to camp, something that's not always, you know, at their doorstep. But to see it, to experience it, and then to, you know, the takeaway. Talk about that takeaway of exposure.
So for some of the kids, like going hiking, something simple as going hiking, going canoeing, you don't get to experience that in the Bronx ever so often. So for them, having that experience to go hiking, canoeing, learning archery, some of the other things that they have at the camp, that's a new experience for them. They could come back and talk to their friends, tell another friend, and hopefully their friends will tell their friends, and their parents will, you know, have them sign up to the camp and go for the next year.
I think all of the things that Lisa said and the idea of community. The Bronx community is this amazing, strong, rich, wonderful place to live, and to have community also in the outdoors together. And you meet new friends, you meet new people that are all from the Bronx at Camp Junior, and you come back and you know more of the Bronx, you know more neighborhoods. If you live in one place, you're going to get on the train and visit your friends in other parts of the Bronx. And we believe deeply in the power of new experiences, in the power of new experiences outdoors, and in the power of making friends and community.
And there's also this leadership experience too that's a part of that. How does leadership really intersect with the work that you're doing?
So we have a program for counselors in training and leaders in training, and those are for the kids 15 and up. And our goal is that the youth that we serve, the youth Lisa serves, they become our next leaders. And so we have a very intentional program during the summer where if you're in one of those programs, you're going to spend the whole summer with us, and you're going to leave with skills. And again, like, we hope they become our leaders, but they're the leaders of the Bronx and New York City and the world, and that's what we want.
Yeah. And as you have this experience, obviously there's more in the future. What would you like to see in terms of future programs and things of that nature to really round this out?
Just to have, first of all, have parents get the buy-in, right, of sending their kids away for a week. A lot of parents, especially in the city, are afraid to send their kids away because they don't know what to expect. But I think the Fresh Air Fund do a great job of orientation with parents and having them feel comfortable enough. And I would just have parents, like, don't be afraid to send your kids away to camp to just gain that experience, and they'll love it, and it's a lifetime experience for them.
Yeah. And so, Lisa, you got some other programs as well, and you know, you got free eye exams and glasses, I understand?
Yeah, so one of the things we're really proud of is that we have a partnership with an organization called One Sight. They bring a vision van to camp, and they test every single kid's eyes as well as every staff's eyes. And this year, for the first time, we were able, in an amazing way, to partner with SCAN. We brought the vision van to the community where SCAN is, and we were able to have both community members and the kids that come to our programs have their eyes checked.
Yep.
Pretty good, huh? I want to talk to you about something special. I understand you got an award.
Yes.
And it's called the Community Partner Excellence Award.
Yes.
And for yourself, receiving that award, what does that mean for you?
Well, first of all, when I was told about the award, I'm like, what am I getting awarded for? You know, because I've worked with Anthony, I've worked with Cesar, we've done a lot of great things together, and so they were like, oh, well, just, you know, the great work that you do. And I'm like, I'm one of those people, my head is down, I do my work, you know, I don't look for any praises. So getting that award was amazing. I felt like a celebrity the whole day, the whole night, the whole evening. Just to have an organization like the Fresh Air Fund recognize the work that I've been doing in the community for so long. and having them bring that out to light for everybody to see. And just having me be in the spotlight, it was an amazing experience. And I'm grateful for the Fresh Air Fund to have given me that honor. I'm the first recipient of that award. So it's like kind of leaving a legacy behind that I hope that other community organizations can see the work that we're doing together and just, add on to that.
What would you say to community organizations that are watching right now about the Power Partnership? Because you guys have definitely put together a powerful partnership that's transcending into the lives of a lot of young people. What would you say about that?
I would say two things. I would say Lisa is a celebrity in that our celebrities should be the people that impact the world, right? And she impacts the world by making sure that youth are served. So like, I just do want to say that about Lisa. The Power Partnership is that Lisa's organization, my organization, we serve families. We should partner always. We're all interested in doing the best for the city of Newark, for the families of New York, for the families of the Bronx. And there's no competition. We do this together. We do it better together. And so partnership makes sure that the service you hope to do happens.
Yeah.
And for me, it's just building dynamic partnerships with other organizations. Fresh Air Funds is just one of the organizations that we work with, but SCAN work with a lot of organizations that every year we just keep building and building and building. So whether we're doing community activities or we're holding workshops for community members, it's amazing when you have a partnership such as the Fresh Air Fund that you can continue to build and grow, and the community sees that, and the other organizations that you work with see that, and everybody wants to be a part of that journey. So for us, it's just been a dynamic experience for myself working at SCAN Harbor. For all these years, I've been with SCAN since I was fresh out of college. So I was like about 20 years old, and I'm here almost 20 years later.
Yeah.
Right, so it's been great.
As I think about, it's not hard to look back and say COVID was just a few years ago, right? And a lot of people have chosen to stay indoors, and we see this migration of indoors. People don't want to come out, people don't want to do this. But on your end, what are you seeing by way of enrollment, wanting, desire for participation? Are people really out of the box now, or are you, or do you still notice there's more people still crave isolation?
I would say people are out of the box now, especially the kids, right? Because I think kids were mostly affected during that COVID era. So now, I can speak for us at Reverend Wendell T. Foster. Once we opened back our doors, it has not been one day that our center has not been filled with kids. And I think that us having that family-oriented environment for them to be in, where they feel home, they feel accepted, and we feed them. So wherever there's food, the kids are. But we've had a lot of kids coming out. They're socializing. They're meeting new friends. They're creating new relationships, and they're just continuing to grow at our center in our organization. So I'm happy to see that.
Yeah. And Lisa, what comes in the future for you?
So we have a new program that we're building, and we will build with partners like SCAN and the other partners that we have throughout the city, where we are starting in September to have a mentorship program for the youth of New York City that introduces them to the outdoors of the city. We believe strongly that fresh air doesn't happen just at our camps in the summer when we take you there, but there's fresh air in every borough, right? Like in the Bronx, there's amazing parks, amazing outdoors, places you can enjoy, and it happens all year round. So that's our new program, and we'll be talking to Lisa about making sure we're recruiting kids through her program as well.
Yeah, and Lisa, for people who want to find out more about the program, your program, what do they do? And
they can find us at scanharbor.org. All our information is on the website, or just come by the Reverend Wendell T. Foster Recreation Center right next to Yankee Stadium, just not on Yankee games.
All right. Well, thank you both. Great opportunity. I know young people are taking advantage of it, and it's the Power Partnership. But thank you both for coming and being with us.
Thank you for having us. Appreciate it.
You can't miss them. It's Lisa and Lisa here. We're just missing the Cult Jam. Here we go. All right, for more information, visit the website at freshair.org. And, of course, scanharbor.org. Don't go anywhere. Guess what? We got more OPEG coming up right after this. And welcome back. Across the country, domestic violence survivors often battle in silence, isolated, and under-resourced. Founded in 2022, one organization is changing this by bringing healing, awareness, and unity through education, as well as advocacy and community care. And joining me now is the founder of Healing Through Unity, Estela Starr, and thank you for joining me, Estela.
Thank you. How are you?
I am good. I'm good. I know that you started this while you're an artist, and you also were like on tour. And so,
Yes.
how's being on tour and now saying, listen, I'm going to get into domestic violence and really be a voice and an advocate? How did this come about?
Well, I had a personal situation, and while being on tour, one of the requirements for me with my tour manager was to go visit the areas that are less fortunate, visit the shelters, and I went to a shelter with kids that unfortunately were born with HIV, whose parents died of AIDS. And while I was there, and I just, it just struck me seeing them go through what they go through and how united they were, even having less than us. I said, you know what, let me start my organization in the U.S. and see what can I do to, bring more unity within different communities.
All right, so here you are, an advocate and a voice for domestic violence.
Yes.
When you look at the problem of domestic violence, how do you see it now? Better, worse?
I would say worst unfortunately, because we have a stigma where we often think that domestic violence is only between two lovers, and it's not. We have domestic violence within family, within friends, within peers, co-workers, different locations, different scenarios. We are speaking more about it, I would say, considering we have social media and different outlets. But I feel like it's getting worse because oftentimes now more than ever you hear about not just men constantly, killing women, but even vice versa. Now there's women killing men. Now there's, parents killing their children. That's all part of domestic violence.
Yeah. You're pretty intentional about wanting survivors to reclaim their voice and their identity through your work. So how do you go about shaping that where one who's gone through such a horrific experience can really bounce back?
Well, one, I say always reach out to somebody that you feel the most comfortable with, because a lot of the times people who are going through domestic violence are silent. They're ashamed. I know that's something that I felt. I was still processing what I was going through while going through it. And I didn't feel the need to reach out to anybody because in my mind, I told myself, I still can't believe I'm going through this.
Right.
So that's one. Also, like I said earlier, having different outlets. Right now, Healing Through Unity, we like to go and do different things in the community. It's not just about constantly reminding them what they're going through or how to get out of it, but also just living freely, enjoying your time, even if you're at a shelter. When I was at a shelter trying to escape the person that had put me in that situation, one of the things that I wanted was somebody that was out of their situation to come and speak with us, and we didn't have that. And that's something that I am providing now with Healing Through Unity. I'm going to different shelters in the Bronx, starting with the Bronx, because that's where I'm from. It's a boogie down Bronx. But, my objective is to make this something global, because, it started in Peru.
Right. When you come across those persons and you talk about, having those conversations with survivors and really being able to open up, there's a tremendous amount of trauma on their side, right? And you talk about you being that person that's the trustworthy person, right? The credible messenger. It's a hard bridge to get between the place of, trust and trauma. How do you go about that?
I am a firm believer of prayer. So me personally, I started with prayer, and prayer can mean different things for different people. But I think just trying to find a way to heal, even if it's on your own first, because that's what happened with me. Since I wasn't really speaking about what I was going through, I had to find a way not only to take care of my children while going through all this trauma internally, I had to find a way to heal. And one of those things for me was music. There's different ways that you can heal: prayer, music, maybe doing something that you like or starting something new. In my case, this is part of my healing. Healing Through Unity is part of my healing, Because it's something, believe it or not, it's something that I personally feel, unfortunately, that stays with you for the rest of your life. What you know, especially if it's something super traumatic. There's different levels to domestic violence, because there's, you know, domestic violence that you go through verbally with people. There's domestic violence that you go through physically. But I say just trying to find that inner voice within yourself and just working on getting out of that as much as possible, and also finding help.
Yeah, I want to bring children into the equation right here, because
Yes.
there are many times the casualty in all of this. When a family goes through it, children are sometimes witnesses, and at the same time, if they're not witnesses, they can certainly sense what's going on.
Correct.
In that house. I know that you've done some great work of trying to reach children and
Yes.
share how to empower them during a time like this. What advice do you have for empowering children, trying to give power to children during a time that is so traumatic?
I say it's not your fault. A lot of kids, when they are a part of this, or they witness a parent going through something, they sometimes take guilt because they feel hopeless. There's but so much a child can do. So number one is always remind yourself that it's not your fault. You are not the reason why this is happening, and always remember that there is a way out. Also, once again, reaching out to other people. Sometimes children are afraid. They themselves, I've seen situations where the person who was going through domestic violence would quiet the child. Don't say nothing to anyone, or even the abuser, you know, threatening them. So even despite of, always find help, whether it's a teacher, a local community location, depending on your age, a family member. And just like you said, not just children, family go through it as well, because my mom, I know, sensed what I was going through without even knowing. And I saw the difference in her after she found out all the trauma I was going through, you know. So
How long did it take you to get to a place where you could really talk about the trauma?
oh wow. I would say, and you know, it's a process. I'm still not fully speaking about my personal situations as much, unfortunately, but I would say maybe like 2 years. Or close to 2 years,
Right.
for me to really come out and speak to it. Because first of all, when you're going through domestic violence, you're in denial. That's the first step. You're in denial. You're finding a whole bunch of excuses for this person, because remember, you're in love with this person, depending on the domestic violence that you're going through. If it's like in my case, it was the father of my son, my youngest son, unfortunately, you know, and you're still trying to process what's going on, because a lot of the abusers, they don't come at you looking like an abuser. They come at you looking like the opposite. You know, they're like your whole world. So it's levels to this. I could go on for hours talking about this.
And it's just, you said it perfectly though, there's levels to it, right? But
Yes.
but how long did it take you to get to a place where you could be free and at the same time comfortable now to go back and say, listen, you know what, I could share some, like, even though I can't tell everybody everything, I could share to a place that I can empower somebody else?
I would say it took me like close to 3 years, about 3 years, to actually come out and say, you know what, this isn't who I am. This was just a part of my story, and I have to find ways to help other people, because I didn't have the help. Of course, one of the reasons was because I didn't speak about it as much, and that's why I always encourage people to speak about it and find ways to connect with other people.
Do you feel free now?
Oh yeah, very free, thank God. Very free.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so for people who are out there right now, the opportunity to connect with you, the opportunity to hear your story, and then also to, you know, partake in some of those services that you provide, how can people go about that?
They can reach out to me either through the website or the social media page, whether it's Instagram or Facebook. And also on the website, there is a contact number. So in case, you know, you want to speak to me directly, you can.
Estela, been great talking to you. Founder and
Thank you.
president of Healing Through Unity, and congratulations with the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
Empowering others even through your own pain, and turn that into like a testimony. Thank you.
Yes, you're very welcome. And we just finished doing a food drive,
Okay.
which is on the 21st. That's another thing that we do. There's different ways to connect. It's not just, you know, empowering each other through domestic violence. It's also connecting and doing fun things. So, stay tuned for more stuff during the summer.
All right, Estela Starr here with us. Now listen, if you do want some more information, there's an opportunity for you to do that. You can visit the website at healingthroughunity.org, and of course, find out all you need to know there. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more Open coming up right after this.
There's a new channel to explore, and it's bringing the classics back to life. During the day, relive the BronxNet originals that sparked conversations and built community. At night, dive into the hip-hop throwbacks that defined a generation. One destination, two powerful lineups. Now playing on Optimum Channel 952, Fios 2138, and streaming at BronxNet.tv. BX Legacy, where history meets the moment.
What's up, creative family? Discover your voice with BronxNet Community Media Classes. Are you ready to bring your ideas to life? At BronxNet, we offer television production classes for community members ages 18 and over, empowering you to share your vision with the world. Get certified in field production, in-studio production, and our new exciting addition, podcast production. Once certified, you can create your own show to air on one of our 6 TV channels. It all starts with our free Unleash Your Ideas Masterclass, designed to help you plan your show idea and set you up for success on your production journey. This class is offered at the beginning of each month for your convenience. Our dedicated BronxNet team is here to support, encourage, and uplift you every step of the way. Join us and become a part of the creative force that engages and inspires the Bronx community and beyond. Sign up today and start your media journey with BronxNet. Visit BronxNet.org/education to learn more and register. Let's create something amazing together.
Welcome back. When we talk about cybersecurity, most of the focus is on active threats, malware, phishing, and real-time attacks. But some of the biggest risks come from outdated exposed data that quietly lingers from old breaches. Many people still reuse passwords that were compromised years ago, and attackers know it. Joining me now is the Director of Product Marketing at SpyCloud, Colette Tomasiak, and we thank you so much for being with us, Colette.
Hi, thank you for having me.
All right, I'm glad to have you. Listen, now I don't want to give out my information across this TV, but I will say this. When it comes to passwords, I'm not always as frequent as I need to be when making that change. And I just wonder if you could unpack that for me. How dangerous is it for me not to always be resetting my passwords?
This is the problem. I think a lot of people don't realize how much security they sacrifice in favor of convenience. And for us, we expect everything digital to be available to us instantaneously. So access to our bank account, access to our Amazon account, Target, anything that we do every single day, social media, shopping, finance, everything, we want access right away. Mm-hmm. For us, for that to be easy, we often reuse passwords or some variations of passwords across all these different sites. And think of it, our digital footprint is so vast and it continues to expand. So if you use one password, let's say Apple 123 for Amazon, and that website or that brand gets breached, but you also have Apple 123 across other things, it is so easy. People don't understand how easy it is for a bad actor or a cyber criminal to test that across other accounts and get access to not only Amazon, but get access to your bank, to your social media, to literally anything that is important to you that ties together your holistic digital identity.
So I know that, organizations, they really go through these changes sometimes about changing and, really cleaning up. How often should an organization, a person go through and make these sweeps?
So this is the one thing that I think people don't also talk about enough, especially for an organization. For an enterprise or a business, people often forget that it's not just me at this current employment and my password here that could potentially be a risk to the business. It is also my personal life. Again, it's people aiming for and looking for that convenience. People often use their same passwords in their personal life in their work account, or it bleeds over into the devices that we use. Like we get corporate issued devices, but how many times am I checking stuff on my mobile phone because I'm out on the go or dropping my kid off at school or something after school activities? So it's often as you possibly can. It's important to set up regular cadences to check passwords, to prevent password reuse, to even just look for exposures. But the one thing I think for people to make it less overwhelming is you first want to understand what all has been exposed. I think the easiest place for a business or even a person, individual like yourself, to check what exposures are tied to your personal identity, go to checkyourexposure.com. You can't even begin to remediate or change passwords or reset accounts if you don't know what all has been exposed. So something simple like checkyourexposure.com gives you that kind of overview, and then you know where to go. And then you can kind of decide, cool, every 60, 90 days, I should be checking my passwords or resetting things, or at least looking or monitoring for exposures to make sure my information is not out there. And it's not just the cadence, it's also try and diversify your passwords. Use a password manager and make sure each account has a unique password tied to it.
I want to talk about the individual and then the company as well. How do I know as an individual potentially that I'm at risk? And let's talk the same for a company.
Yeah. So an individual or even a company, it's kind of the same for both. You're going to see an uptick in activity that is not normal. You're going to get notifications as an individual on your phone or a text message. Oh, you have to pay this unpaid toll. Cool. I've had coworkers get toll messages or like phishing SMS messages for geographies where they don't even have toll roads and they're getting these fake messages. You're going to see an uptick in a text message from Amazon. Someone in this geographical location is trying to log onto your account. So you're going to see this anomalous behavior of activity and attempted access to your accounts from locations and places and devices that are not yours. For a business, they're going to start seeing an uptick in attempts. And again, it's tied to access. Someone trying to access a corporate application from a location that isn't normal for that employee. They're going to see potentially an uptick in fraud, in synthetic identities, all these activities that are outside the norm that probably are good indicators that you have stale credentials that are impacting your business or your personal accounts. And it is time to do a nice audit to get a grasp on things and remediate those exposed passwords.
So once I find myself and there's a breach and, we hear these breaches, what is the proper protocol after I hear? I might be tuning in to Open and Daren Jaime says there's been a breach and, credit bureaus have been breached or banks have been breached. What should I, the consumer, do upon hearing?
Yeah, so first thing to note, it's not if, it's when. So okay. It will happen. So that's, people often forget that as well. I think, and even earlier, like last year, there was the national public data breach. Almost everyone, the majority of Americans' social security numbers were exposed in addition to other PII and financial information. Step one, if you're notified and you're involved in a breach, is freeze your credit scores. Go to all 3 major credit bureaus and freeze your credit score and unlock it only when needed. And then step 2, again, you want to know what all has been exposed, which passwords, on which accounts, on which websites, what you need to remediate. checkyourexposure.com is an easy one to kind of give you insight to the exact breaches that you're tied to. And then you know where you need to change passwords on those accounts. So criminals can't get access and they can't do fraud. They can't cause or havoc and other digital activities that could impact either yourself as a person or an enterprise.
For a person out there that's watching saying, listen, you know what, I'm trying to do the best that I can. It seems like so much to keep up with. How do I go about balancing this in my day-to-day life? I mean, I've got to incorporate it as a part of my day-to-day life because guess what? If you're hacking into my bank account and I don't have any money, it becomes an immediate problem whatsoever. But how can a person go about better incorporating this in their day-to-day life that just becomes part of the routine?
Yeah, so I think one of the it's not a fail-safe either. Digital security is an ongoing and evolving thing we're going to have to keep an eye on. But a good step one, get a password manager. Again, you want to have unique passwords for every single account that you have in your personal and your work life. And usually enterprises have some kind of governance and mandates around the type of passwords that you can use and to make sure that they're unique. But step one, make sure you have different passwords for each account. Oh, how am I going to remember that? Great question. A password manager. That is like a nice, good one to make sure that all of your accounts are unique, but you still have access when you need it on your phone, on your laptop, without having to remember things or without having to rely on Post-its on your laptops or your screen with your exposed password. So that's a good step one. Just unique passwords, password manager, making sure that you're doing an audit, going to checkyourexposure.com, seeing if you have been exposed in a breach. And those are good basic steps to have. Once you get that in your like routine and system, it becomes a lot easier to control how your digital footprint kind of grows out from there.
So red flags and warning signs. I do want to talk about that for a second. That many times we miss the red flags and we miss the warning signs. What are they?
So red flags, usually it is attempted access. It could be like a credential stuffing attack if larger scale identities have been exposed in a breach. But the initial one is always attempted access. And again, whether that is for a single individual within your enterprise, it is multiple individuals in an enterprise, attempted access to your organization or to your accounts. That is not you, that is not your location, that is not your device, that is anomalous beyond what you do in your day-to-day. That is a good step one, that something's going on and you should probably change passwords so people cannot get access. Yeah. So you can terminate the sessions and make sure that no one that shouldn't be in there can get in there.
Yeah. I got to get to this before we wrap. SpyCloud helps people in terms of having that account take over. I want you to just share a little bit about that. Yeah. If somebody's, the work that you're doing there.
Yeah, so if you're looking to prevent ransomware and prevent account takeover or fraudulent transactions tied around protecting digital identities, and that includes everything past and present, what we do is identity threat protection that scales different elements of your organization to protect your employees, to protect your consumers from those targeted identity attacks, but also allows you to investigate further so you can stop fraud, stop ATO, and prevent bad actors from getting access to your corporate network.
Yeah, Colette, Tomasiak, we got to leave it there, but I do want to get you to say two things before we go. Number one, biggest mistake people make. Number two, biggest thing people should remember.
Biggest thing people should remember is that breaches will happen, and it's a matter of ensuring that your passwords are diverse now, they're unique to different accounts, and that you're using some sort of password manager to make sure that you have control over your digital network and identity.
All right. You set me straight when we first got started. She checked me. She said it's not if, it's when. And so I think that's really important for us to remember. Thank you so much for being with us, Colette.
Thank you so much.
All righty. Now, if you want more information about Colette and SpyCloud, do me a favor. Visit the website at SpyCloud.com. We encourage you don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more Open. That's coming up right after this.
57% of New York City high school students are college ready by their senior year. "55% of high school graduates either have no plans to attend college or are uncertain that they will ever attend. "34% of young adults don't go to college because they can't afford it. Discover what's possible. BronxNet's education programs, internships, and opportunities help engage and inspire Bronx youth and beyond to pursue their passions. Be a part of the BronxNet family. Whether you're interested in our shows, joining a class, or donating to support our mission, visit BronxNet.org to learn more.
Welcome back. A Brooklyn-born brand has opened its second location in the South Bronx. This new cafe in Mott Haven is making waves not just for its drinks, but for the mission that's rooted in culture, comfort, and community. Joining me now is the founder of Kofee. We've got Rohan Duggal, and thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, first of all, welcome.
Thank you.
How does it feel to be in the Bronx?
I love it. I mean, my wife, she owns a liquor store in the Bronx called Mott Haven Spirits. So that's how we first got introduced into Mott Haven. It took us a little time to open that location, but within that time period, we got to really explore the Bronx, and we really saw that unlike any other borough, the community aspect is huge here. And like that's what we gravitated towards. We felt like the ethos of Kofee's would work well in the Bronx, and that's what led us to taking the leap of faith and opening up our second location.
But Rohan, you're talking more than just coffee, though.
Yeah.
So it's an experience, right? And it's an exposure. What's behind the whole, the mission, if you will?
Okay, so when we first introduced Kofee to Brooklyn, the goal behind it was to create a grab-and-go cafe where individuals can learn about the baristas, learn and develop a relationship with them. And it was more than just a cafe experience, it was a community vibe. You know, the name Kofee, it's a Hindu word that determines coffee. It's spelled out coffee. And ultimately, we wanted to take the South Asian vibes of India and bring that into the culture of the space itself. You won't see that in the coffee per se or the food, but it is in the vibe as far as people coming, engaging with one another, being able to work out of the space, and ultimately create connections outside of the cafe experience with people that they meet there.
Yeah. Community is big and
Yes.
huge here in our borough. I mean, you know, people are always patronizing local businesses, restaurants, and the like. With your wife having that business, the liquor store, how much did you really interact with community in terms of designing and saying, listen, this is what I want this space to be about?
You know, we did not take in the account of the community. The goal was to create something that was outside of the community itself and just kind of implant it into the Bronx and see how it would work out. I think it's worked really well. People are really appreciative of the craftsmanship we put into the space itself, and people feel like it's like a cafe from Tribeca, but it's in the South Bronx.
Right. Being that we're all New Yorkers, we're all on the move and the hustle is there, that grab-and-go experience is really key, huh?
I would say so. It all depends on each community. So like in Brooklyn, that is a big thing, grab and go and move forward. Over here, it's more family oriented. I would say that people spend more time in the location itself. Maybe they're not working as much as they are in like other boroughs, but they're spending time, they're communicating with the people they're with. It's a really community-based experience for everybody.
The ribbon cutting.
Yes.
Your thoughts. I mean, obviously an opportunity to really just say, hey, we're here, but not just, hey, we're here. A lot of people were there to support, hey, we're here.
Yeah. first and foremost, I'd like to thank the Maven building. They were a part of that experience. They helped put that together. They've been a great partner, great landlord for myself. And, you know, it was an unbelievable experience. You know, I didn't know what to expect going into that day as far as the ribbon cutting goes, but so many people showed up. There were some great speeches, and, you know, it was a touching day.
Yeah, and you're bringing small business to to really an underserved neighborhood, you know, and now to have your business there, what's it mean to have it right there in the heart of Mott Haven?
I love it. I mean, I think that, you know, as new buildings are appearing and they are redeveloping the neighborhood, we are going to be one of the pillars that brings forward Mott Haven to its new direction, its new future.
And there's some architecture that we can talk about too, right? There's some architectural significance.
What do you mean?
So I understood that there's a Maven by Sitarudi talking about Maven per se, how Maven is, the architecture, and then taking that and looking at your space. How do the two compare?
Well, I think there's a great contrast. I mean, the Maven is very art forward. Like they are very. They resonated with the Bronx in the sense of they utilized the community to develop their space, and it resonates with the Bronx community. Our space contrasts that in the sense of it's more modern, it's more lit, and ultimately it has that classic cafe experience.
When somebody walks out of your experience, what do you want them to take away, Rohan?
I want them to honestly just be happy with the people they interacted with there. And it's, you know, I'm okay with not having the greatest food or the greatest coffee, but the best people I want working with us. And ultimately, I want people to be like, well, you know, Carlos was great. I want to go back for Carlos.
You got menu options, but then you also have wellness options as well. Like you're really connecting with the, you know, menu and wellness forward. As you look right now at the menu that you have, what was behind the menu, and how did you get to the place of saying, okay, this is what I want that's going to stick, this is what I think people will go for?
You know, it's a collaborative effort. You know, my wife's a part of it. I have a few other people involved with it, and ultimately it just comes down to trying the product, seeing what we can price it at, and if it resonates with the crowd. If it stays with the crowd, for instance, we have a cinnamon bun that people love at $6, you know, and it's a staple now. But like we try it out, we experimented with like being the food of the week, and then if it sticks, it sticks.
What are the similarities you find between like Brooklyn and the Bronx?
I would say that people want to spend time in the cafe itself, in both experiences. In Brooklyn, you see a lot of people working out of the cafe and not necessarily interacting with each other. In the Bronx, you have the same experience, but not as much. It's more about people coming with their friends and family members and just having a nice time out.
Yeah. So, future plans. I mean, I know you're just getting started here in the Bronx, but as you look and see where you are today, obviously after the ribbon cutting and seeing the people come through your doors, what do you say is next?
I would say that the next step for us is to ultimately just implant our roots here in the Bronx, see what that leads to, and ultimately, if we can open up another location in the Bronx, we would love to do that. If it's somewhere else that has the same vibes and community feels of the Bronx, we're open to that as well. It's more about just really just making sure that this one that we opened is a success.
And when we talk about Eastern Indian hospitality influence, right? That's huge, because I think that you've got that going, and people who walk in will have that experience. How do you define it, though?
You know what it is? I think it's the simple things. It's like remembering people's names. It's remembering drinks. It's ultimately caring. It's like, you know, if you're telling me a story about something very personal, it's not me just glancing at my phone and not really listening. It's actually listening and saying, hey, you know what? I empathize with you.
That hospitality is huge.
Yeah.
And obviously, I know that your staff is well trained, but obviously, you know, in today's day and age, there's so much hustle and bustle that people just sometimes don't even keep up. But it's almost like you've got this, sacred space, safe space where people can actually come, breathe, take it all in, and at the same time have good coffee and a good menu and walk away with like an experience.
Exactly. I mean, we have been able to define the brand based off of just the customer service experience, off the in-house pastries, and ultimately just having this community safe haven where we try to develop as many relationships as possible with community leaders in the area.
Yeah. Deion Sanders out in University of Colorado has a saying that says, "We're coming." So I want to let you know. Daren Jaime says,
"Thank you.
I'm coming."
Appreciate you.
Rohan, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much for being with us. And he's the founder of Kofee. They've come from Brooklyn right now in the borough of the Bronx. Now, if you want to visit them, go visit them. 2413 3rd Avenue, Bronx, New York. For more information, you can definitely follow them on Instagram at Kofee NYC. Coming to the end of our show today, I want to thank all of our guests for joining us, and most of all, you, the viewer, for tuning in. Now, if you missed any part of today's show, you can catch Read Cablecast on Optimum's Channel 67, Verizon Files, that's Channel 2133, or watch us anytime on the web at BronxNet.org. And yes, you can catch a brand new episode of Open with my girl, Rena Valentine, on Friday. That wraps up this episode for us. I am Daren Jaime saying make sure you keep this channel wide open. We say take care, God bless, and hope to see you real soon. Hope to see you at Kofee, too.